A confession. Une confession. Confession. A secret. Un secret. Un secret. A secret to doing anything in life is to know your why. Why in French? Pourquoi? Pourquoi? If you know your why, nothing can ever stop you. And I know it seems really cliche, but that's what I figured in life. So if you know why you want to learn another language, or if you know deep down why you want to learn French, it's gonna be easier and easily achievable. I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, I realized that a lot of the stuff I wanted in my life were based on causes that makes me cry. When I think about my why for wanting to do anything or achieve anything in life or speak a certain language, the reason why makes me cry, the reason behind it makes me deeply emotional and vulnerable. And other than that, I think it's really hard to achieve anything, especially when it's hard. So some people are naturally gifted and naturally passionate about languages, but even when you're passionate about it, it doesn't mean that it's not going to be hard. I used to speak Korean, and I mean not speak, I used to learn Korean, and I wasn't. I feel like it's too close, but anyway. And I never really was like a K-pop fan. I've never wanted to go into Korea or anything. It was just there. It was free, and I was just like, why not? you know. And now, a few years later, I don't speak Korean. I don't understand it. I pick up on some words. I can still read, but I just don't speak it, and I don't have any interest to go back to that language because there wasn't any reason behind it. I still stuck to my guts, and I studied for a year. But the only reason, the why, is that I wanted to prove to myself that I can do it. I can learn a language I have no interest in. And I know it sounds crazy, but I don't know, it's just a way to tell myself that, you can't be committed, because I feel like I have issues with commitment. And as trivial as it might sound, especially for a language that I don't speak and I have no interest in speaking, it really helps me to cement something in me in terms of I know I can do it and I've done it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because even now, I remember when we started learning Korean, the teacher would say, "Oh, don't worry, by the end of the year, it's gonna be like five of you guys." And I looked at the class, and there was like 50 of us. It was packed. We were cramped in, and I remember thinking, I'm not gonna make it because I was working on the weekend, working at night, going to school, so I barely had time for that. And it was only like 3 hours a week, but it was still like 3 of my hours, and I would go to school, go to Korean, go to work, and then repeat. So there wasn't any room for that in my schedule. But eventually, January comes. We haven't done much. Like, we were really focused on learning the letters and learning the alphabet and like basic Korean, and half of the class dropped. And I remember being shocked, like, where are they? Like, the winter like took them. And by the end of the year in June, we had to devise some sort of like musical theater in Korean, so we had to write a whole song in Korean and act on it and sing on it. And there was only six of us. Even people who were there the last week weren't there. It was only six of us. And actually, the funniest thing is that it was my first year of musical theater, and I ended up doing an act in Korean. Like, doesn't make sense. And till this day, people always think, "Oh, I know you're a K-pop stan. That's why you studied." And I'm just like, no, I mean, I knew of it, and I used to listen to some Korean songs, but just because I like the music, not because I wasn't a fan of the genre. If you get what I'm trying to say, like I only know the names because I worked with kids, but for the longest time I really liked the Zion T because it was the R&B vibe of it, and some other singers that I don't even remember their names. I even went to a K-rap concert. But I just wanted to, like, test out my culture, test out my language, sorry, and see what the fuss was about. But it was more like research, actually. Yeah, it was art research. And I feel like that's why today my art is really focused on language as well, as in not just like one, but like learning language and how do you learn and how do you acquire it and why do you acquire it and the culture behind it and what does it mean to be invested in a language that you don't speak when you're not from the culture and when you're from the culture. Hmm. Hmm. Anyways, thanks for watching. I know my channel is a bit all over the place, and the lens as well, the focus as well, but I'm doing my best here. I'm working with what I have, and I'll see you next time.